everyone. Welcome to HOA Fight Club. I'm Raylene Shafano. Today I'm going to discuss the process of fair elections and why they're important in our HOA communities. The election process for the board, the annual meeting every year, is becoming, especially since COVID, very rare that people actually get together in one room with all the owners and have the annual meeting. A lot of it's done by Zoom or by proxy. People aren't participating in a lot. So what we're finding is that there's a lot of unfair elections happening. In fact, there's a lot of boards that haven't even held the annual elections. There's been no votes. They just kind of kept themselves in place. A lot of the governing documents have high quorum requirements, like 51% of the community has to be there to establish a quorum. If they don't have 51% of the community there, then they don't have elections. There's not even an election held. So let's talk about the municipality. So when we have elections and we vote in a mayor and we have this government that we vote in, we don't have requirements that say that there has to be a 51% quorum to vote in a mayor. It's just whoever has the most votes gets to be the mayor. So it's trying to go back to these communities that are being ran by, these boards. These are like the municipality. They are very important that we have these elections and that the elections are fair. Now let's talk about fair. So if I want to run for a board position in my community and there's 5,000 homes and I don't have access to the email list that the board has access to contact everybody in the community. So the board gets to use that email list of 5,000. They get to send out alerts. They get to use, which is really debated here, they get to use the funds of the association to campaign for that position of being a board member. And the benefits of being on the board are an extra benefit they get to help them run for the board again. Whereas a person that's just a homeowner who doesn't get access to that email list, now they would have to pay for stamps and postage to mail out $5,000 or 5,000 flyers. They would have to put up campaign signs. Well, they're not allowed to put up campaign signs without the board's permission. The board can take things down. They don't approve. So they don't have the benefits that being a board member has. So that makes that just the part of running for a board position an unfair part of the election process. Elections are really, really important in these communities. These communities control our roads, our gas lines, our sewer lines, our utilities, they are our court system. They are our jury, judge, and executioner. So we should have a say in who's running our communities. Now, how do we have a say when there's a 51% quorum needed to even have the election? So we are just telling people that unless you get together as a community, this dictatorship is going to stay in power. Now, to remove the board, I agree, it should be a little bit more difficult, but there should still be an option to have the homeowners communicate. So if you're not current on your assessments and there's an online portal, the property management company actually deletes your access to that online portal because you're not current on your assessments. So again, I have to say, when you're in a community, in a municipality, and there's a vote for mayor, if you're past due on your taxes, they don't cut your vote. They don't make it so it's impossible to vote for the new mayor or the judges or anything else. You still get to vote. So in these communities, now they've established that if you're not current on your assessments, which we don't even know if they're proper assessments, we have had there's no courts to verify these assessments. It's just attorneys signing off. These could be fines and fees that were not appropriately charged to somebody's account, but we're going to take away their vote because we say they're past due. So all the board has to do is, if somebody's running for the election process or for the board, all they have to do is put them past due on their assessments, and they make it so that it's impossible to vote. The board also has the knowledge of which homes are vacant, which homes, which owners aren't present at the meeting, so they can actually turn in proxy votes for those homes. Nobody would have any idea if you have a community of 5,000 people, you don't even know who's in your community. So how are we having fair elections that are going to maintain these communities? Whenever you make a complaint to the Attorney General's office or to any other legislators, the first thing they say is well, run for the board. Well, if you can't run in a fair election and there's no possible way of getting on a board, then we have actually deleted the fair election process and made it easier for these boards that are rogue to be dictators and to run things into the ground and to steal our money and to help control our communities. And the reason they do that and the professionals don't say anything is because the professionals are paid by that board of directors. And if that board of directors is not happy with that property manager, that attorney, well, then they just fire them. So that board is holding that over the property manager. Look, we're going to fire you. And look, if the new board comes on, they're going to fire you because they don't like you. So it's all for money. It's all for their own personal gain, not for the gain of the association. We need fair elections. We need a fair process. We need fair governance. We need everything to be equal when it comes to running our communities. We shouldn't have to be, up to date on our assessments. I know that sounds crazy. But your vote for the annual meeting is very important. I don't think anybody's vote to be on the board or to run the board should be contingent upon your assessments. Now, I agree that you shouldn't be able to be on the board if you are past due on your assessment, but you shouldn't have your vote taken away if you're not, because that board may be misappropriating fines and fees, and that's the only way to remove that board is to have a vote. And so we have to do something to make these elections fair in these communities, just as we would in our municipalities, our counties, our states, our federal governments. We have to have fair elections in these communities to make things better and for all of us to hold our boards accountable. So I think that there needs to be some look at the quorum requirements and the election process and how we communicate with our community members, whether it's on an online portal or whether we have their electronic email addresses, whether it's assigned by the association or whether we give our personal emails. That's up to us. But I think that there's solutions that could be really easy. And if the government is willing and the legislators listen, I think we can really establish a really good, fair election process that is fair and equal for all. All right, you guys, I'll see you on the next one.